Hey, greetings to you wherever you are watching from. Thank you for choosing Extreme Geography channel for your IGCSE Geography revision. My name is Teacher Agre, and again, I want to remind you that this channel is dedicated to helping students all around the world to prepare for their final exams in IGCSE Geography. Please like, share the videos, subscribe, and recommend a friend to this channel. So today is lesson 3 of our topic water, and we shall be looking at problems caused by water shortage and how these problems can be or have been solved. We shall also look at a past paper question, and I will guide you on how to answer it. Let's get started. Problems caused by water shortages. I remember we said that water shortage can be of different forms. Water could not be there at all, and we call that one physical water shortage or water scarcity, or water might be there but it is not usable, maybe because it is very deep underground or it is polluted. So we're going to focus our problems on either water not physically being there or water being there but it is polluted and therefore not usable for human consumption. Problem number 1 is low agricultural production. We notice that when there is no water, that means there's going to be crop failure because farmers are not able to irrigate their crops. Animals might die because they lack water for drinking. And if these two things happen, then there's going to be food shortage. Famine is going to hit. People will become undernourished and they will die. Point number 2 is reduction in annual precipitation. This could be caused by either depletion of surface water, such as rivers and lakes, by droughts or global warming, or it could be as a result of over extraction of water by people. So, if you don't know the definition of drought, drought simply means below average supply of water over a prolonged period of time. Point number 3 is ground subsidence. There is water held underground in what we call aquifers, and if this water is depleted or is finished, that means there are going to be empty holes in the ground, and the ground above is not going to be able to support itself, and therefore it might fall under, or what we call subsidence. And that means if the ground subsides, people might die, property might get destroyed, and among other things. Conflict is our next point. We saw that there are some water bodies that are shared by different countries. So if there is any shortage in water, that means there's going to be conflict between countries that share the same water bodies or that share the same drainage basin. A very good example is the conflict between Israel and Palestine. This conflict is often blamed on the water shortages in that region. River Nile is our other example, which is shared by up to 12 countries, and some countries like Egypt and Sudan normally tend to want to control much of the flow, and that means some other countries that might not have enough water supply because of this control will not be in good terms with the controlling countries. Water shortage could also lead to refugees. In countries where there is water shortage, people will flee such countries and go to probably neighboring countries that have plentiful supply of water. And this could cause economic problems because some of the countries that have plentiful supply of water might be poor themselves and therefore cannot manage an extra population from other countries. And these refugee camps normally are in very, very bad conditions, overcrowding, shortage of resources, services, among other things. So problems keep piling on top of each other. Next problem is related to when water is actually available but is heavily polluted from human activities. This problem is called eutrophication, and this may occur as water from farms containing chemicals from pesticides and fertilizers run off into water sources. So they are going to cause excess growth of algae on water, and this may cause suffocation and death of aquatic animals such as fish, because as there is a huge surface layer of algae on the surface of the water, there's going to be low oxygen and also sunlight into the water bodies. This could cause further problems such as lack of food. Water shortage could also cause an increase in morbidity. Morbidity simply means the relative incidence of a particular disease. So diseases such as hepatitis A and typhoid, as well as diarrhea, may increase as a result of consumption of dirty water. And of course, when people are sickly, there's going to be high expenditure on our health care. There's going to be low productivity as sick people might not be able to work well. Students or children might have to miss school because of this. Water shortage could also mean that people have to travel long distances to find water. And we saw that this is a huge problem in LEDCs, where especially women and children have to walk far distances to look for water. That means there's going to be reduced time for these people to engage in other activities. For example, women will not be able to engage in agriculture, and also children will not have enough time to attend school. Now let's go ahead and look at the possible solutions to water shortages and water pollution. Solution number one is improvement in irrigation systems. We have seen that some irrigation systems are more efficient than others, and therefore improving these irrigation systems to more efficient ones can conserve water. For example, we have the modern drip irrigation system. Although it is very expensive, it is very efficient as it conserves or uses very little water. If you look at larger systems like center pivot irrigation systems, they are very efficient. However, much water is used, and therefore we could make a change on that one. Another solution is to reduce water leakages from old pipe networks by installing new systems or by repairing the old ones. It is estimated that in the UK, 460 million liters of water is lost every day through leaks. We could also do water metering and increase the prices per unit of water. We notice that so many people use water extravagantly if this water is not metered and if the prices per unit of water are low. So doing this may force people to reduce wastage of water by using it for the most important needs. Dam construction is our next solution. This involves construction of artificial water stores, or what we call reservoirs. These reservoirs can collect water in the rainy season, and this water is available to be used during the dry seasons. This is very common in so many parts of the world. In Egypt, we have what we call the Aswan High Dam with Lake Nasser, the largest man-made lake in Africa. Water shortage could also be reduced by international cooperation, where regional and international water policies can be put in place in order to have sustainable utilization of resources. A very good example is the recent treaty signing between the president of Sudan, Ethiopia, and Egypt over the control of River Nile, and this has tremendously reduced the problem of water in these countries. In communities where there is a lack of surface water, and where it is expensive to extend piped water to individual households, there could be a solution of construction of wells for communal use, and people would access this water from one point, and normally these wells are well protected and secured, and people can always access clean water using buckets. Sewage treatment could also be a very good solution to reduce water shortage, where there is removal of contaminants from the wastewater and household sewage. This water could be released into other water sources or into the national water supply system so that it can be reused in homes. For countries that have access to the sea or oceans, they could solve the problem of water shortage through desalination of seawater. We said seawater is initially salty and therefore not usable for human or animal consumption. However, with technological advancement, the water can be desalinated, or salt can be taken out of the water, and this water is usable for any household activities or even in agriculture. Last but not least, we could solve the problem of water shortage through conservation and education, whereby the people who use water could be educated about basic conservation methods which can reduce water wastage. For example, encourage people to use half flush toilets, and instead of showering, they could do bathing. And we could also have watering gardens after sunset. Watering the garden after sunset would mean that the water that is being sprayed over the crops would not evaporate immediately. Now let's go ahead and answer a past paper question, and this question is taken from 2018. It says, explain why water shortages cause more problems in LEDCs such as India than in MEDCs. So this is a comparison question, so you may want to use words like than. However, you may also focus your answer on one side, either looking at LEDCs or MEDCs. Whichever side you choose, answers are exact opposites, and I will show you how. So let's take a look at some of the answers. Answer number one, LEDCs cannot afford to import water since they are poor. These countries have very, very low financial resources, and therefore when there is water shortage, they are not able to import water from countries that have plentiful supply. So for those who might want to go on the side of MEDCs, you will say MEDCs are rich and therefore can afford to import water in periods when there is water scarcity. Point number next is our LEDCs depend on agriculture, and therefore water shortage would hit the economy harder. And of course, this is because agriculture as an activity very much depends on water supply, and therefore any shortage in supply would lead to a downfall in agricultural production, and that means economies would be suffering. Many farmers in LEDCs are subsistence farmers who produce food only for home consumption, or you could say mainly for home consumption, and therefore they will starve if no food is produced as a result of water shortage. LEDCs have invested less in water storage than MEDCs. There are so many ways of storing water, either through tanks or underground tanks or construction of reservoirs, and you find that very few LEDCs have some of these water storage facilities. Therefore, they will be suffering so much if there is any shortage in water supply. And for the side of MEDCs have invested so much in water storage facilities. They have constructed dams and reservoirs, and these facilities store so much water and can be accessed during periods of limited water supply. Take an example of USA. There are so many dams in the south western part of the country, in places like California and Colorado. So these places never lack water, even though they are in arid regions. Next point, LEDCs are less able to transfer water to areas where there are water shortages, and this is because this activity is expensive and these countries lack enough financial resources to do so. So you might find there is a lake that is isolated so far away, and if the government or if the country had money, they could transfer this water through pipes and supply it to urban areas where they need it most. However, you find that these countries do not have enough financial resources to do so. People in LEDCs drink polluted water and many times without boiling it, and therefore they get waterborne diseases such as typhoid. If you look at MEDCs, their water is very cleaned, is purified, and therefore even when they drink it without boiling it, they will not get sick. Lastly, LEDCs cannot afford to desalinate ocean water, which we said is salty and therefore not usable for human consumption. So even when they have access to such water, desalination process is very expensive and it requires advanced technology, and therefore they will still suffer and have more problems as a result of water shortage compared to MEDCs, which are rich, they have advanced technology and can be able to desalinate water. We could also consider the fact that our LEDCs will not be able to afford to extract water from underground aquifers because, again, this water is very deep. It requires advanced technology to be able to extract, and therefore they will still suffer from water shortages even when they have water under their surface. So that marks the end of this question. I'm going to leave you with an assignment, and I want you to take time and read this question well, understand it before you can answer it, because answers are always very, very closer than you think. So this question is: explain why access to safe water is better in some countries than others. This marks the end of our lesson. Please remember to like the videos, share with your friends, and please subscribe to the Extreme Geography channel. See you in another lesson.